Today we continue our offseason outlook series. Started with the Miami Heat going down the Eastern Conference standings, which means we're actually going up the East Coast to Beantown, taking a look at your Boston Celtics, and not treading new ground here by saying it looks like this offseason the Celtics definitely got better. Obviously the Malcolm Brogdon acquisition, which I think kind of flew under the radar. Obviously not an all-star. Rudy Gobert trade, I think, eclipsed a lot of the trades that went on just by how shocked everyone was that actually happened. But I think this could be a key move. And when you look at it, Celtics obviously didn't give up too much in terms of just rotation minutes. Obviously, kind of the Tice third string big, 10 to 15 minutes they might have to address at some point with like a vet min contract. But Aaron Nesmith, you can kind of cut your losses, could develop still into a good 3-and-D guy, but not a guy that the Celtics need right now. They're in win now mode, having, coming off a finals loss and really trying to build around, Brown and Tatum as they go forward. And so, yes, obviously Brogdon's health is a major concern and, really a low risk, high reward kind of move though when you think about even if Brogdon goes Gordon Hayward, first 6 minute blows out his knee, you didn't give up a ton for him, unlike Gordon Hayward, in which you signed him to, a max deal. Brogdon's really good player, shoots efficiently from all three levels, a plus defender, smart, everything that the Celtics have kind of, looked for in guys, because they really haven't built this roster on specialists. There are no just catch and shoot guys. There's no just, rebounding, defensive minded. Everyone can do a little bit of everything on both sides of the ball, which makes them really dangerous and makes them really good in the playoffs because, they can get stops and they can get buckets for, with the best of them. So now you add Brogdon into rotation and, I'll make the point that hopefully with Smart, Derek White, there's not a ton of pressure on Brogdon to create and, be that guy like he has been in Indiana. Hopefully the minutes will be less, than it has been, and we can kind of, baby him along and not press him too hard over the course of the regular season, have him fresh for the playoffs. So hopefully can address that a little bit going forward because, he's going to provide a ton of depth in that backcourt and hopefully, some more shot creation because the Celtics, one of the major problems they had early in the season when they were, around 500 in January was just a really stagnant offense, not a lot of off-ball movement, a lot of just one-on-one stuff, and hopefully Brogdon's another guy who can kind of create, keep the ball moving around the perimeter, pick and roll stuff, coming off off-ball screens. I think it makes a lot of sense for them. Really good get for the Boston Celtics. Brad Stevens now front office. That's not really news, but yeah, he's going into his second year, getting the pieces. They go over the tax. Credit to the owners for, allowing that and trying to really push for a title. And then, of course, the Danilo Gallinari signing, adding someone in the front court, adding shooting. Obviously not the most athletic guy, not in his prime by any means, but I think another smart player, be able to space the floor a bit, because even, like I said, they haven't signed shooters. There is still a need for shooting while Pritchard, hopefully takes another step up, can still give, decent minutes in pockets. Marcus Smart's never been a knockdown shooter, but can shoot some. Tatum, Brown, obviously, but, to add another shooter and, at least someone you can respect from the perimeter, I think that helps a lot. It gives you a lot of lineup malleability when you look at what you can do with Horford and Gallinari in the front court, or Rob Will, Horford, Rob Will, Gallinari, what that might look like. Or you go small, maybe Gallinari plays the 5 some, Tatum plays the 4. All kinds of different things. They can kind of match up with opposing teams in a, kind of slew of ways, which even more so than, because that was part of what made their playoff run, so dynamic, is their ability to match up defensively with pretty much any lineup you throw at them. So I think they can do that even more so. Now, the question, obviously, can they repeat this success? Can they sustain that momentum from the back half of this past year. I think these offseason moves, what they've done is address the depth issue where, they were still 7 deep, in the finals. I think it wore on Tatum a bit, it wore on Brown. And when you just have, White and Grant Williams coming off the bench, you add Brogdon, Gallinari, that's more rotation guys. You can add to give, Tatum and Brown a little more rest just throughout the season and playoffs, that, so when they're on the floor, their legs are under them. That's huge. But I think the real question is going forward is not the depth, because the depth now is addressed. But what's going to happen now is, can the Celtics stars match up and meet the biggest stars in the East? And that's obviously assuming everyone's healthy. But, if they're playing a Milwaukee team, which they will most likely run into again, can Tatum and Brown match Giannis and Middleton? And then can some combination of Smart, Brogdon, and White match Drew Holiday? Because at the end of the day, playoffs are about stars. We saw it with Luka this year carrying the Mavs. We saw it with Jokic carrying the Nuggets the entire way. And even in the playoffs, winning that one game says a lot about his ability as a basketball player. You see it with Steph Curry. I mean, you need the guys to make the shots, to make the dagger threes, to, can Tatum and Brown carry that burden enough when competing with the best in the East? Because I think, the talent's there, the depth's there, the roster makes a ton of sense on paper. They can match up no matter what. It's all going to come down to, in those moments, in those critical possessions, can Tatum, can Brown make enough plays to continue and build another playoff run? Can they sustain that success? That's what's going to come down to.